Good afternoon, everybody. This week's topic, $1 million question. How long does it take to sell a home in Fife?
So there's some question.
Very interesting, and we're going to get into it. But before we do that, we'll QVT. If we had a pound for every time we were asked that question, how long does it take to sell a home in Fife?
It's quite an interesting question, and a lot of people actually think it's going to be a lot quicker than what we're going to talk about. It does take a wee while, and a lot of the things that involve in this is the biggest part of this is actually the conveyancing process because you don't know what's going to happen next, and we can qualify people as much as possible for their circumstances. If they're in a position to proceed, if they've got the money in the bank ready to go, but it's fine if they've got money in the bank ready to go. But if they've got an older style property they're actually buying, then there's going to be a lot of due diligence done by their solicitor in order to make sure the title is actually applicable to the actual property, to what they think they're buying.
Yeah.
Let me explain. When I bought my house,
Mm-hmm.
it was extended. Another plot was actually bought with a person previously before me, and then they extended another house, basically built another house on the end of the house I've got, and so it became a almost double the size of everything in the street, because they bought this other plot of land. But when I went to buy it, actually my solicitor then noticed it was like, wait a minute. When I'm looking at the measurements of your plot of land that you have for that second plot it was bought, and then I measure it against the land registry, you're a foot short. Or you've got a foot, you're a foot short on what the land registry says you've got, as opposed to what you've actually got in reality.
Yeah.
So technically, the person that owned that plot before owns that strip, that foot of land. So we're going to have to get that sorted first before we can actually go any further forward. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, because I knew the seller anyway. And it was more or less a private deal, to be honest. I did buy it from. No, I actually just bought it from her direct because I had the house next door. I stuck my sign up, and she thought, I'm going to be pretty savvy, and I'm going to just stick my homemade sign up, which was
Yeah.
which was brilliant for me because literally no one saw the house for sale then, because she thought she would get everybody on the back of me, but hers was double the size of mine. It's like, who's going to come along and look at mine and they go, oh, next door's double the size and double the price. I'm going to buy that one.
Yeah.
They don't. So I
No.
was quite lucky that she didn't put an estate agent's board up and no one else saw it. And actually, she just put her own homemade sign up, and it's your beauty. Quids in for me, because I've got
Yeah.
the exact house I wanted. Because we lived next door, and we used to look at her in the back garden. I used to go, "This isn't fair. She's got a lot more room than us. She's on her own, and we've got 3 kids, and it's us and a grown family, and we need a bigger place. But we don't want to move from here." And that was the perfect opportunity.
Sitting there
So
the whole
lo and
time.
behold, we had committed to, and I had gone and bought somewhere else, and we ended up selling that and just moving next door anyway.
Oh,
So I
well.
literally
Nice.
bought it and then sold it again, the other one, to get this one. So there you go. That's how the world works. But the great thing is, she put up her own homemade board, and that probably cost her a lot of money. And you're like, wait a minute, she did that for nothing. It's like, no, it probably cost her a lot of money. And the fact that she probably never got the seller that she could have got, it could have paid thousands more for her property than I paid her. I paid her a good
Yeah.
price for it, and she was happy with it. But it's like she could have got a lot more, I would say, on the open market if she had actually done it correctly and gone through an estate agent. But she thought that was an easy way to do it, and that was an easy gig to get it. Maybe she actually targeted us anyway and thought they're going to buy it anyway, because we kind
Maybe
of
she knew.
indicated over the years. She was a great neighbour, and a lovely woman. Okay, so but this is the $64 million question. If you're a homeowner, if you're thinking about selling your property, you'll probably have wondered how long it takes actually to find the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the timeline for selling a home varies depending on factors such as property type, price, market conditions, especially because it's completely different. The market conditions across from the east to Fife completely changes as you travel over to the west to Fife.
Yeah.
Completely different market conditions from the east to the west. Fortunately, we've compiled these statistics for the 1,232 Fife homes that have sold in the last 3 months, split down by type. In other words, detached, semi-detached, terraced, flats and apartments, to give you a clearer picture. Sophie, what are these numbers like? You know, what do these break down into?
Okay, so based on the types then that you've just mentioned, so we'll start with detached homes. Now, of the 328 detached homes that were sold in the last 3 months, the average time from coming onto market to an actual sale agreed is 77 days. You can see the calculator there going.
2.5 months.
Yes.
Now, let's just get this right. 2.5 months to get the sale agreed on average. Not
Accepted
completed and
offer.
over the line, keys handed over. Just a sale agreed. It's taken 2.5 months on average to do that with all the estate agents in Fife for detached properties in the last 3 months. What about
Yep.
semi-detached?
So for semi-detached, slightly more. So 335 semi-detached homes sold in the last 3 months. From the average time coming onto the market to accepting an offer, 63 days. So slightly more homes, slightly less amount of days. So
2
63
months.
days. Yep.
2 months
Um,
effectively.
and then we drop down to your kind of terraced or townhouses. So of the 181 in the last 3 months, the average time from again coming to market to accepting an offer is 50 days. So a bit of a drop,
Yep.
about a month
So
and a half.
so you can see that as and it's remarkable, but when you think about it, it's so obvious that the price point actually drops as it goes.
Oh, 100%.
The average
Yeah.
price of a detached home is completely a lot more than a terraced house. And similar to a detached home is a lot less. A semi-detached home is a lot less than a detached home.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts. So it's reassuring to see that that actually goes in line with what we possibly know, or what would expect, I would say. So it's
Yeah.
reassuring that actually that goes in line with what we'd expect, I think. That's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. Um,
Definitely. But then
so
it's slightly
what about the
changing.
flats and apartments then?
Yes, so it slightly changes. So off the 331 flats and apartments that were sold in the last 3 months, the average time coming onto market to sale agreed goes up to 63 days. So it's actually an average of 63 days for the 331 flats and apartments. But we need to bear in mind that obviously flats and apartments, you don't automatically just think potentially an 80,000 or 70,000 flat in, your KY postcode. There's flats and apartments both within St Andrews, which is your higher price point, in the East Nuke, which is a higher price
Yeah.
point. So that'll be contributing to the fact that obviously it's back up to the 63 days, because that kind of figure goes against what we were just saying about lower price points. So you can see the days come less, but we need to bear in mind you do obviously still get your high price point apartments and flats in your East Nuke, St Andrews, and that's be what pushing the days up.
And this is the UK house price index, so everybody knows. And this is where the UK house price average is. No, sorry, the Scottish house price index up to November 2024 compared to the year before. So you can see the detached homes in Scotland on average is £344,000.
Yeah.
The year before it was 327, which is a 5% difference. Semi-detached 207 versus 197. So you can see the difference between a detached and a semi-detached in Scotland over Scotland is round about £137,000. That's a huge amount when you think about it. £137,000. That's the same price as the flat. You could literally just buy a semi-detached and just buy another flat as an investment for the same price as you could have the detached for. I know what I'd be buying. Well, I know what I did. I actually bought a flat and moved into it, and then bought loads of other flats at the same time instead of buying the detached house. And that's how I built my wealth at that point in time, all these years ago, about 30 years ago. That's exactly what I did. I went for the flat more affordable, and then I had the budget to buy that, but then I bought a lot more flats, a lot less than that, by the way, which were perfect for investment purposes. But it just shows you can see clearly it drops as you go, and the amount and the flats and maisonettes as well. The average price rate across Scotland is 4.7% in terms of price increase. We could look at the average price for Fife. Here it is here, 178,174. And the average price in Fife has gone up in the year on year by 3.4%. So a bit less than what the Scottish amount is, the 4.7 overall. But there's no surprise, because Fife has got a real boom over the last 2 or 3 years. But newsflash, everybody, the boom is over in Fife. It's now a stable market. But there's pockets of Fife which are going faster and slower than the others. And this is what we could talk about.
Yes. Now, I do want to do a little side note, because there'll be some keen-eyed people out there probably. So to stop them commenting, they maybe have worked out that the numbers there don't add up to the 1232 that you'd mentioned previously. So for the keen people there, you're absolutely right, it doesn't, but we need to take into account some of the types that fall outside of the 4 main types. If we were to sit here and list, mobile homes, commercial, land and building plots, we'd be here all day.
Yeah, that accounts for the 57 deficit in these figures.
It's just a side note for the keen-eyed people. But these figures, they do show the average number of days a property in Fife takes to go under offer. However, selling a home doesn't just stop there. It's the entire process, and that's obviously what we've touched on, from the listing of your property to completing the actual sale. This can stretch over many months due to legal procedures and other factors, again, that people don't think of, because again, during that process, circumstances might change for either the seller or the buyer as well, that we need to take into account. And we get this on the regular, especially if there's a chain involved, circumstances can change. So, but a lot of the time it is things that are out with the estate agent's control.
Yeah, so you've got roughly about, when you look at that, we've got a number here about 81 days, but I think that's 81 days after you've agreed to sell to actually completing. The way that reads, it's 81 days, but it's like if it's 77 to sell a detached home. If it's 77 days, then it's certainly no 4 days to do the conveyancing. So it's probably 81 plus the 77 for a detached home. So on average, divided by 30, you're talking about 5 months to sell a property across Fife for detached. And then it goes down to roughly about 4.5 months for a semi-detached. A terraced is probably going to go down to about 4 months, and the flats is going to be again about 4.5 months to sell. Keys handed on. So in other words, I'm going to sell my property. Oh, keys handed over, sold. We're done, and money in the bank. It's roughly about 5.5 months, I would say. So it's interesting compared to the national average, which is 119 days. So Fife is actually a bit more robust and a bit quicker than the actual average UK market. I think that's a lot to do with the fact that there's a lot higher price points outside Fife. 178,000 is completely affordable for a mid-market property, because that's the average in Fife itself. And that the average is not what a first-time buyer is meant to buy. It's probably the lower end of the market, because that's the affordability level for them, and it's a smaller property because that's all they really need at that point in time. So the average is 170,000, which is less than 6 times average salary. So it makes absolute sense that works. So Fife's a really good market to live in, to buy in, to sell as well, and also to invest in as well. Well, statistics prove that overview of the home buying process and selling timeline, it's essential to delve deeper into why homes may sell faster or slower in Fife. So, Sophie, you're going to explore these factors to help you maximise your chances of successfully selling your house in Fife. So if you are selling your house in Fife, listen in, folks, if you're selling your house in Fife or you're thinking about selling at this point in time, Sophie's going to go through the factors which will maximise your chance of selling successfully your Fife home. So why does it take longer to sell some properties in Fife, Sophie?
Great question. Absolutely. So, selling a home in Fife involves more than simply placing a home on the market and waiting for the offers. There's a lot more to the process. A variety of challenges can affect how quickly your property actually sells. Now, There's obviously the most common reasons, which we will go into detail, and this is potentially why a property might linger on the market longer than expected. Now, the first one, and this is something we speak about, well, in our previous shows, we spoke about this a lot and we constantly speak to our clients about it, but it is setting the right asking price for your Fife home. And when we say the right price, we don't mean what you
Yeah,
think it's worth. It's not what you think it's worth. It's the right price for the market to get people through the door so that we can negotiate that
yeah.
offer.
2 or 3 years ago, it never really mattered what price you set. Folk would buy it anyway and pay an absolute fortune over the odds for it.
Mhm.
But the prices hadn't caught up by that time. So now all these prices have been factored in into the new home reports that are getting produced. That huge increase that you're getting over and above the home report is no longer available because it's built in.
Yeah.
It's already into the valuations, and when the surveyor comes out, they know that a previous one sold at that price anyway. So
Mhm.
that's why they're valuing your house at the price in the home report as it stands now.
Yeah.
You're right, overpricing does deter buyers, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Because you could be that then you're getting pushed to the bottom of the search results. You might appear out of kilter with some similar properties, or you might also not align with the potential buyer's expectation. If they've got a list of properties that they're interested in, and yours is actually the highest price,
Yeah.
as we said, you'll appear kind of out of kilter, and you'll just get put to the bottom of the pile, and then you're not even getting them through the door.
I was speaking to another estate agent quite recently, quite a
Mhm.
successful estate agent actually, from another organisation, and they were saying they were actually quite taken aback by the amount of customers they had on their books. It were
Mhm.
kind of refusing to reduce their or realign their price point
Yep.
because they were adamant. It's like, no, it's got to be that price or it's nothing. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, but well, why did you put it on the market in the first place then if that was the case? Well,
Yep.
surely you put it on the market because you moved because of your circumstances. So why would you then dig your heels in and say, I don't want to realign my price. I'm refusing to budge on that. This is what I want, or I'm no moving. All right, okay. So you're then stuck where you were in the first place.
Mhm.
What's
Yep.
the point of there has to be some sort of revision here and some sort of reassessment in people's minds about this is a different market than what it was before 2 years ago, and it no longer applies these circumstances to what the market is right now. Now we'll know more tomorrow because the Bank of England will possibly bring down base rates a quarter a point, but I still genuinely believe that's factored into mortgages anyway right now. So I don't
Mhm.
think there's a huge change in mortgages. So
Yep.
anybody is waiting for this dramatic shift in the property market um, is delusional. I think the word is I would use.
Okay. Fair.
It could only be that
Mhm.
you can't expect all that to be factored in, and then all of a sudden the Bank of England reduces base rates by a quarter a point. We know the Bank of England reduces it by a quarter a point, and your mortgage lender goes, "I tell you what, I'll give you a tenth of a point off." It's like, wait a minute, I thought it was 0.25 it reduced by. Why are you only giving me 0.1 as a
Mhm.
benefit? And that's all they're doing. And that will be neither here nor there, that 0.1 in difference of whether people will get a bigger mortgage or not. It won't make any difference because their affordability will never really change. I mean, if you've got 0.1 at a difference, think about that. If you've got a house at 200,000, for example, and you've got 0.001 of a difference of tenth, that's only saving you 200 quid a year.
Yep.
Nobody's going to change their buying decisions. Nobody's going to pay for a higher priced property because the Bank of England reduces their price by a quarter a point. It's naive to think that's going to be the case. It's 200
Mhm.
quid a year just by saving on 0.1, a tenth of a percent on their mortgage. That's
Yep.
not going to change their mind. They're not going to suddenly go, "Oh my God, I'm going to go from a £250,000 house now to buy a £300,000 house." No, they're not. They're just going
No.
to go, yeah, okay, I'll save 200 quid a year. Great. I'll maybe have a
Mhm.
night out.
Woo. Yeah.
Because that's effectively what it is.
Yep.
For most people now, that's like a night out, 200 quid. That's a lot
Mhm.
of money. But
Yep.
that's the cost of living now. Going
Mhm.
out for a proper meal and, if you want wine and booze and all the fancy things and you're having 3 courses and you're having a real good quality restaurant and good quality food, that's kind of the benchmark of where you're paying
I was
almost to
gonna
that.
say. we're doing 3 courses and we're doing wine, you'll probably be over 200.
So the Bank of England reducing base rates by a quarter point won't make a difference to the property market. It will still be where it is. It might give people a bit of consumer confidence in the fact that, yeah, okay, they've gone the right direction. It's now confirmed for me they're not going to go up anymore. Therefore, I might commit to buying now. I think that's what it'll do. It'll get the buyers to more or less commit and say, okay, that's fine. I'm more confident that the market's stable. I'm more confident that interest rates will not move dramatically, and I'm more confident about buying in general. So I think it might bring a few buyers into the market that weren't there before. But I don't necessarily think that people are going to be, running to the hills and going, or running from the hills and going, I need to sell my house. I'm going to get a really good deal. It's like, no, you're not. You're just going to get what you would have got anyway before. There may be a few more buyers in the market, but not breathtaking, I would say. Remember, over the past 24 months, 81.65% of Fife homes listed for sale actually successfully sold, resulting in a move. The remaining 18.35% were withdrawn from the market without sale. Now, the solution here then is to work with a knowledgeable estate agent who understands that local Fife market and research what similar homes in Fife had sold for and seek valuations. Now, you would normally, and best advice would be seek valuations from multiple agents to ensure your pricing is competitive. But I'll be honest, we're all going to be the same sort of price in terms of the valuation. We all work out this. Well, I'm assuming that everybody works out the same way as us, but we work out the same way as the surveyors. So whatever the surveyor is going to say is basically a carbon copy of what we're going to say, because they're doing exactly the same thing as what we're doing, or we're doing exactly the same thing as what they're doing, a chartered surveyor, to get the exact same valuation about where your property is. So if anybody comes in the door and says something drastically different from us, your first words out your mouth should be, where did you get that from? Where did that price come from? Not, oh, great, I can get more money for my house. It's like, no, you've got to back it up with facts. You've got to make sure you've got it backed up so you know where that price has come from. Because if it's just plucked out of the air, then you'll probably find you've just overpriced your house, and therefore it'll sit on the market for quite a long time.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, just a word of warning here. That doesn't mean to say if your house has been sitting on the market for a long time that your house is overpriced. At that point it was put on. It might actually be overpriced now because the market's maybe changed if you've been on for quite a long time, and there might be more competitively priced properties coming into the market competing against yours, and therefore buyer, I would say, not buyers. I don't think plural. I think the buyer will go for theirs before they go for yours. Because you've got to remember, every single week there's only about 100 to 120 people buy and sell in Fife. Or thereabouts. Maybe that's about it. It goes from 100 to 150 at peak, and lower season it'll be down to about 80 every single week. So if you've got that across your region, and for example, East Neuk, I think it's 19 people on average buy every single week in East Neuk. So if you've got 60 properties on the market in the East Neuk area, there's 3 months worth of stock. And that means the 19 buyers that will buy in that week will have a better choice to choose from. So you go to St Andrews, it's a lot higher the amount of properties on the market, and the same amount of people buy every single week. So therefore, you have to be more competitive in St Andrews in terms of your price point.
Absolutely.
It's not good enough just though to say that I'm going to take my house off the market and I'm going to wait for a wee while to see what happens. And it's like, well, okay, but you move for your circumstances. So why would you then delay that?
Yeah, because nobody's seen it.
I can't, because we move. You move for things like, I can't manage the stairs. So if you're going to do that, then you're going to put up with managing the stairs. Then we've got a new baby on the way. Okay, you're not going to tell your parent to wait for another couple of months before it appears, are you? Because it's coming at 9 months, whether you like it or not. Kids have left home. We can downsize now. Okay, so you're going to delay the house sale Therefore, you're going to continue to spend more money having to upkeep a house which you're actually not using half of the rooms. And in terms of utilities, in terms of council tax, in terms of property maintenance, in terms of looking after a garden you maybe can't look after anymore, you're going to continue to have all that burden just because you're thinking, I really want that price. But what you don't realise, though, is every other house in the area is going to be aligning to your price point as well, because it goes in the same trend. That's why we have average prices for houses. That's why you've got an average when you look at it and you go, oh, average prices for houses are now 3% in Fife more. Now, we actually hit that and got a wee bit more than that in most of the areas in Fife. In fact, in Glenrothes, for example, last year, every single one of our houses in Glenrothes sold for more than Home Report.
Yep.
Every single one, 100% of them, more than Home Report. I wonder if any other agent could actually say that. Interesting.
Absolutely.
What is the solution, though, Sophie, to this? What's the solution? Or let's look at, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go on to the next one then and talk about the estate agent performance. What do you think this is important? Because you were talking about this and you've got this written down here. The estate agent performance is obviously, why does it take longer to sell a property in Fife? So is estate agent performance a real big issue? Is it really?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It plays a pivotal role in how fast your home sells, or if it even sells at all, because some agents excel at marketing properties and maintaining that active communication with potential buyers, whether it be on the mailing list, while others fall short. And this is why we always educate people and say, make sure you are registered with us. Call office and make sure you are registered so that we can constantly be communicating with you as a potential buyer. Because others may fall short of that. If your agent isn't delivering on these promises, then don't hesitate to follow up and hold them accountable. Same as we also say as well, when you are at your point and you are getting your property valued, that is your opportunity. You're not only there to obviously understand what the value of your property is, but that agent is there to help you with moving forward and your property journey. So interview them, have questions.
This is quite an important one. You're absolutely right. Interview them, have questions, but this is quite an important one to ask then. And I notice is your agent delivering on the promises? Do you actually have it written down what was discussed in the first instance, or do you just think you've got it in your head? And then over a period of time, that's maybe manifested in a completely different story in your mind about what you expected from your agent.
Yep.
I mean, this happens, doesn't it? This happens. I've had conversations where somebody's come back to me and says, "Oh, I was this and that and this and that." Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. We stood, and I know this vividly. We stood at the bottom of your stairs and we had this discussion, and I said this and you said that, and I went, "Oh, by the way, that's a really nice floor." You know why I said that? Because I thought that'll anchor it when I tell this person that story back. Because I genuinely believed at that time they weren't listening to a word I said. So when I told them this, they went, "Oh, you're right. You actually did say that." So but see how that. So it's an easy way of me communicating how people begin to misinterpret what was originally said because they've not written it down. So the advice is for everybody: when you take your agent on board, I mean, don't look for it. By the way, oh, I'm going to write everything down just when you get it wrong. I'm going to get you. It's like, no, just write down, or maybe ask them to write down on an email what they're going to do, or write down on their seller agreement exactly what they're going to do for you, exactly what the terms of the business are, and what you're getting for your money, and then you can hold them accountable if they've no performed to that standard. But I've seen it before where people get a bit confused about what was originally agreed, and then there's a mismatch between agent and between seller. As well as buyers, actually, and landlords and tenants. It happens all the time.
It happens because as well, you've got the outside influence as well. Or my friend said this, or my family member said this, or the neighbours told me this, and then that starts to influence them as well. And then it creates a different narrative. So it does happen, but it's just how we manage that.
What about then? We could jump on the quality of the photographs. Is that important? Photographs, videos, and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%. Because in today's digital first world, high quality photographs are essential. You don't want to be seeing a blurry, dark, overshadowed, where you can't really see what's actually going on. It doesn't paint a great, literally, picture of the property. Because Fife buyers as well scrolling, if they're sitting scrolling and there's loads of properties there, you need to stand out. It needs to be bright. It needs to be open. It needs to be engaging. Because if we're scrolling through your Rightmove, your Zoopla on the market, then you need to. It's all about first impressions. It's curb appeal and it's first impressions. Because as obviously you speak about, what is it? You get 3 seconds to make an impact. So you need to have strong photographs, because poor or outdated photography can often leave your property overlooked, especially, and again, this is something we talked about in the kind of winter campaign that we did about seasonal photos, Christmas decorations and snow, etc. That also has an impact, because that also then is a straightaway indication of how long your property has been on the market, if they see obviously those things. So, and this is something obviously we do with clients, consider revisiting your property's photos with your agent regularly. Are you happy with them? Are they fresh? Are they professional? Do they show your property in its best light? Because it really can transform your home's appeal, and getting somebody to click into that listing, and then we need that picture to capture them, get into that listing, and then it opens up to that personal property tour and that full video walkthrough. As I said, it's a digital first world, and we need to attract more potential buyers, and that's the only way you're going to do it.
This is quite a good one, and I'll show you how important this is, the presentation of what you've got. Let me share this, and this is a completely different area, so just so you understand that this is Edinburgh area, because I don't want to pick on any agents in Fife. That's no fair. But look, I mean, you've got 2 lead photographs here. I went to the lower end, because obviously the lower end are usually the ones that suffer, because it's less of a, people just want to pay cheap for that. But then you've got it there. You've got, this is Fountain Bridge parking, and as well. And but look at, I mean, it's not exactly the most inviting pictures that you have. I mean, there's 2 in the living room. It's like, what's all that about? Why would you have 2 lead photographs of the living room? Is the rest of the property that bad that you can't actually show a different one there? And there, I mean, every single one is just a mirror of the exact one before.
Yeah.
Why would you not go with something like this in the beginning, so people can actually see a view? I mean, that's not the most attractive, but then if you don't put that on there, then is that actually a misdescription? Are you misleading someone in the first place to that? I mean, putting these on as your 2 main photographs isn't the best thing to do. That you should have done something different. And then you just go, I mean, there's price change. Look, there's what happens. Look, waterfront, here we go. This is what happens in price change after price change. See it? All the way down.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 price changes from this agent. And here, that is amateurish, getting that wrong. And there's another one, and that's the same agent. Look at them.
It'd be interesting to know how many times the price has changed, and has the photography or the marketing ever changed?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't you've got to really have a wow photograph that will stand out in the beginning. I mean, that's not exactly the great setting photograph, is it, on this one?
No.
But again, auction house, I kind of think they don't really bother that much. They'll just bust them in as much as possible and sell them. This one as well, this isn't the greatest one to do. With this, just a wee bit of a walkway. Wow. Who wants to see a walkway as the lead photograph? How's that going to get you to click through? I mean, look at that. Look at the next photographs that weren't in sight. Really nice. And there's another. Oh, that's that property, that agent again. I sometimes think, see, there's a good photograph there. And then there's another decent one in terms of brightness. So something that's bright and presenting, it's something that will actually entice you to come in. That is far too small as a lead photograph, isn't it? It looks like a box room for the living room. And gorgy. But then you have the ones in the bottom. Look at the ones in the bottom down here. These are all dark and a wee bit dingy. Not exactly the greatest advert for you. Here's a good one. Again, oh God, that's the same. They must have a track record of doing this. Whoever that is. But then you're starting to get decent photographs now, because the price of the property is going up, and people are thinking, okay, I'm prepared to pay a wee bit more. This is
Oh.
where people don't understand. It's like having an agent. It just takes their photographs on your phone, on their phone is pretty appalling. Or maybe just doing an amateur photograph session with something.
Mhm.
I don't think that's the best thing to do, to be honest. So quality photographs is really important at the beginning. Remember, it's your initial invitation for somebody to get them to click through.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's what it is for most. Now, we deliberately put our video on first on our
Mhm.
website. The video
Mhm.
comes first, and I don't understand why people like Rightmove, Zoopla, and that. I think they're a wee bit behind the times. Why they don't push the video more, and I think it's because a lot of their users are not using video.
Yeah.
Therefore, they don't, they can't set up because they'll have to do it for everything, and that means they've got a space for video for everybody, and everybody's not doing it, and everybody's doing photographs, so it works, but they can't adapt, so they can't do that. Whereas we've adapted to video straight away as the main thing that comes in. So that's
Mhm.
why we get over 1 million views on our website every year, for
Yeah.
that reason. 1.2 million, actually, to be exact, on our website, for that very reason, because the video comes in straight away and it catches somebody's attention, and then that's the lead generator to click through from there
Mhm.
to get more information. That's
Yeah.
why the quality of the photographs and the video content is so important. And you have to do a walkthrough. You have to do, and I mean a walkthrough, I mean somebody talking you through the whole process, not just the most boring music you'll ever get, or maybe music's going to be uplifting, but it's not appropriate for it.
No, definitely not.
Because I remember seeing somebody's, it was on with a local agent here, and they put it on, and I'm not really sure the local agent did it. I don't think they did. But when they put it on they shared it to their page, it was literally a song. It was a company like Shake Your Booty.
Oh
And it's
dear.
like, what? And this guy, but it was a great beat, but it was just
Mhm.
inappropriate for that property. And I'm thinking there'd be
For any
more people put off by that than actually enticed by it. So people have different tastes in music. That's the whole point. And you'll never get something that's going to appeal to everybody. Therefore, your music has just put somebody off
Mhm. Yeah.
because they don't like it. And that potentially could have been the person that paid the most. Whereas your estate agent is the person doing the presenting and doing the property walkthrough. And
Mhm.
that estate agent is unlikely to put someone off because all they're doing is taking you around as if they're taking you around as a viewer.
Yep. It's a virtual viewing.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
I think that's the best way to do it and present it. Because
Mhm.
instead of the buyer, you as a buyer putting all that time and effort into it, you can find out a drop of a hat. It's like, well, is that worktop? Is it marble or is it just a normal worktop? Is that what type of is that a microwave oven at the top of that double oven, or is it just a normal oven? Is it an integrated fridge freezer? Is it this? Is it that? I mean, you can read all these things up, but I'll tell you what, if you want to read something bore fest today.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to read anything now. They just want to be told what it is. They want somebody
Mhm.
to tell them. They want to sit back and just get somebody to tell them exactly what it is. They don't want to sit and read through on their mobile. They don't want to sit and go, can I read that and zoom in? And it's like, I better get my
Mhm.
glasses out to see that, or I better take my glasses off. That's too much hassle for people nowadays in buying. And I know it sounds daft, but literally that's what it's come to.
Mhm.
That's why you've got 3/10 of a second to catch somebody's attention. If you don't, they're off. They're away to look at another property, or they're scrolling on TikTok or something like that, and they've seen someone else. They've seen someone dancing. They thought it was funny, a monkey or something. It's like that's
Mhm.
taking their attention away straight away. You've lost it.
Yeah. I think it's the element as well as I was actually just speaking to a client about this because I was at a pre-portal earlier today, and we were saying the video it's a one-stop shop if they're not from the area. Obviously we have buyers, as much as we're Fife properties, we obviously advertise and have a reach out with Fife, so it's telling them it's a one-stop shop so that they don't need to come off that listing and then go and find out where's the nearest school, where's my nearest commuting links. It's a one-stop shop. Everything is in that one video. We're telling them not only the property but the lifestyle that they can expect, but it's almost a bit like Marmite. People can either envision things or they can't, but we need to spell it out for them. So the property I was at, for example, there's potential to develop into the attic, and how would they do that? So in the video, I'm talking through and explaining how we would do that. Somebody looking at a blank photo or a silent movie isn't going to understand the development opportunities and the potential within a property, but at least a video walkthrough, we're literally spelling it out to them.
Yeah, definitely. I can't disagree with that at all. It's interesting that you've actually said that, but I'm just trying to see if I can find out information about what are. There's the 1.18 million viewers in there. But did you know actually our biggest reach is London and Edinburgh?
Mhm. Big
It's actually
cities.
it's actually quite surprising how many people from London and Edinburgh come onto our website every single month, and it actually is a big reach as a result. But remember, as the buyers, they're the people who've got the money. And
Mhm.
you are wanting the best price for your property. When people in London and Edinburgh look at you, look at the price of your property in comparison to what they'll buy where they are for the same thing, it's a completely different price point here. It's a lot less. So
Yeah.
it's easy for them to say, geez, I'll pay that, no bother. Whereas we
Mhm.
think to ourselves, and we look at that and go, well, that's a lot of money. Somebody outside of the area goes, no, that's nothing.
Just a bit
You want to
loose
see what
change.
my house cost at 600,000, what I got for it in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Merchant City itself. I mean, I almost tripped when I was running the Edinburgh Marathon one time when the guy that was running with me says, Jim, I want to ask you a question. I'm thinking about buying a property in Merchant City in Glasgow, and I'm in the process of, I'm in the process of buying it. I have made an offer, and he says, what do you think? And he told me it was a, converted bank in Merchant City, and it was a one bedroom, apartment flat. And it had a mezzanine, which you go up to the stairs up to your bed, and it overlooks the living room and everything like that. And I says, all right, okay. And he says, price point, what what do you think? And I'm like, well, I'm not really into touch with that in Glasgow and stuff like that. And I gave him a sort of price, and he just looked shocked, and he went, it's 450,000 I'm paying for it. Like, what? I
Wow.
tripped. I almost tripped when I was there. What? You having a laugh? 450,000 in Fife would buy you would buy you a detached property in mint condition, a new build.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you're buying a one bedroom flat with a mezzanine floor for your
Mhm.
bedroom
Mhm.
in Merchant City in Glasgow. Mental.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was right for him at the time. I'm not really
Mhm.
sure. I think most of these properties will still be at that sort of price point anyway, because I think at the time it was a kind of boom market going into 2019 or thereabouts. And it made sense for him for his work. But now, lockdowns taught us you could work anywhere else in the country and you could live anywhere else. Then I think he might have made a different choice, to be honest.
Potentially. Yeah. Absolutely.
So the advice then, if
Mhm.
quality of photographs, if you're struggling as a seller, the advice probably then is revisit your photos regularly,
Oh,
and
100%.
a fresh approach, maybe new images, transform your home's appeal, maybe keep it in season as well. I know some people might have their summer photographs as their lead photographs for their property, but it's out of season at this point.
Mhm.
That's why you need to refresh them. The Estate Agency Act actually says that it's recommended you refresh your photographs every 6 months
Mhm.
to make sure you're in season.
Yeah.
So if your photographer hasn't taken the right photographs skillfully,
Mhm.
then possibly you might have to review them because they might look out of season.
Yeah.
Mortgage challenges. This is the one I just talked about, isn't it? This is the next
Yeah.
one.
Mhm. Mhm.
What you got to say about that then? What's your thoughts on mortgage challenges?
Yeah, because it's not always as straightforward as you think. That is, it's slightly more complex for buyers to
Hmm.
secure that mortgage. Whether it be, as an apartment got short leases, is there unique construction materials. Also, something we've come across as well is this spray foam that's been put in that causes challenges. Flats above commercial property that also potentially has concerns for lenders. But there's all of these things that people maybe aren't aware of, but it does make it more complex for buyers. These challenges, then that means it can kind of limit the pool of potential buyers,
Yeah,
because if your property perhaps falls into one of these categories, then you need to work with your agent to address the issue, get advice, and yes, there's a problem, but what's the solution? What can we do about it?
yeah,
Whether it be extending your lease or highlighting the property's strengths can also make it more marketable. Yes, there is problems sometimes, but it's actually solutions and what can we do about it. And as long as you've got an expert on hand that knows what they're talking about or knows where to find the people and has connections, then there is always a way around it.
definitely. I would say so, definitely. Mortgage challenge is definitely one. It could throw things off. That's why it's probably important to qualify the buyer in the first instance and make sure that they are who they are. And I've gone to the lengths of degree. Sometimes when somebody says I'm a cash buyer, I would just say immediately, well, get your solicitor to tell me that then.
Yeah.
Rather than actually say, let me see your bank account. Because their solicitor will then say, let me see your bank account.
Yeah.
And that's okay because it's their solicitor. And then
Mhm.
their solicitor will be able to tell me, yes, they're a cash buyer.
Mhm.
I've done it a
Mhm.
couple of times. I actually spoke to someone. I actually spoke to John Murray the other now on K107, Kingdom 107, which is the radio station. And I was talking to him about it, and I actually said, one of the times I actually asked the solicitor, you tell me, are they definitely good for it, and are they a cash buyer, like they said? And the solicitor said back to me from Glasgow, he said, I can assure you, sir, my client has plenty of money. I went, is he prepared to pay another 20,000 then?
Yeah.
Hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I actually
Well,
did that.
he did. He made a
You think
slight
you'll go for
reference.
another 20,000 on top of
Mhm.
it? and his solicitor just said, I don't think so. I think the offer. I think he said the offer we've put forward we feel is good value for money. It was 40,000 extra, by the way, at the time. So,
Okay.
but I thought I'd do tongue in cheek and just see what happened, because you never know. Because if you've got a weaker solicitor at the time or a weaker negotiator, they might actually take that seriously and gone back and thought my client's maybe going to lose it. I've had that before,
Mhm.
where I've actually chanced my arm with like that, and done things like that, and jokingly done it so I didn't offend them, so it didn't cause a problem with the deal, and
Yep.
and that's what's happened. They've actually gone back and says, I'll have a word with my client and see what they say then. Hey.
Happy days. Yep. Absolutely.
So it can be done quite skillfully when you negotiate with someone, when you're doing that, as to get that right price and negotiate that right price as well. Definitely.
Mhm.
So then then ask me, what about the timing of the sale? Does it really matter what time of year you sell?
Another $1 million question. Another one that we get asked. The time of year can sometimes influence how quickly properties sell.
Yep.
Spring and summer, for example, typically sees heightened buyer activity, while autumn, winter may present a slightly slower market. Although interestingly, I just did the Fife property market update on Monday, and because we're now into February, we did the month statistics. And actually, for January, there was 413 properties instructed new to the market, and actually 411 properties sold subject to include missives. So 413 went to market and 411 sold, which people probably weren't expecting there to be that many sold, and there only to be a difference of 2 properties.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we are saying to people, now is an ideal time to go to market, because there's slightly less competition than spring, summer, but there is still active buyers on the market, with 411 properties having offers accepted just in January alone. Because there's external factors like economic uncertainty or mortgage rates. Obviously, you've touched on tomorrow's announcement, but that can also impact buyer behavior. Now, if timing isn't ideal, a strategic marketing approach can still generate interest and results.
Yeah.
Again, a skilled Fife estate agent will tailor your home and the marketing to, link in with the market conditions to get you that best result. But
Mm-hmm.
that is only done by a skilled Fife estate agent, and that's the key.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the way forward. So I would probably completely recognise that selling your home is, we know it's more than just a transaction, don't we?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And that's it. Final words then. What's your thoughts on this? What's if you were going to give somebody selling one best bit of advice, and you only had one choice to give one best bit of advice, what would that advice be?
My advice would be, if you are on the market right now and you have questions or concerns, queries, speak to your agent. Yes, obviously you speak to family and friends, but don't let them influence you. We are the experts. speak to your agent. We know what we're doing. Obviously, we want to sell your property for you.
Yeah.
So let us do that, but speak to us. Don't be influenced by outsiders. Is probably one
Yeah.
of my key takeaways.
And my final bit of advice is don't waste your time going to anybody else. Just come to us.
Enough said.
I know for all the reasons why,
Hmm.
and I know for all the reasons that we excel in, and I could be there for an hour, ever and a day for doing that, but it's been said time and time again on previous shows. So anybody that's followed all our shows and our channels and our podcasts that we've done, the thousands of podcasts that we've done over the years, then they'll know straight away why we are the most important in your choice.
Hmm.
You might want to get a second opinion, fair enough, but I genuinely just believe it's just wasting your time. And you're never
100%.
gonna I'll look at it like this and I'll be morbid about it. I'm never gonna lie on my deathbed and think I wish I'd got that other agent out to get a valuation. I'll certainly lie on my deathbed and think I wish I hadn't wasted my time and I could have used it on something more important. And and
100%.
for me, it's all about efficiency. It's like if it performs well and it
Yeah.
gets the result you want, why would you change it?
Correct.
Why would you
Correct.
change it?
Hmm.
Okay, thanks very much for coming on, Sophie. Really appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions later on, please feel free to stick some in the comments or message us direct on this post. Until next time, guys, bye-bye for now.
Take care. Bye for now.